up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Up, 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 up. All right. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? I hope yes. Please feel free to comment in the chat. Nice to see already the first ones in. And today it's episode 4 of the Blockchain Group podcast. And I changed the name. I announced another name for this episode, but I think it's fun time. It's more appropriate. So a lot of things happening. Bitcoin all-time high in dollars and close to all-time high in euros. And a lot happening also on the blockchain group. Today, we're going to have a quite juicy meeting. Unfortunately, as you see, I'm here alone. Bidemoon is on some tropical beach drinking some margaritas. I'm sure he's having a great time. Maybe he manages to join. Salut to everyone and welcome. I see we're already in more than 100. That's great. So we can maybe start, and just some housekeeping before moving to the rest. As usual, this is never financial advice, so please run your own research. Never trust what we say. It's good content. It's made for entertainment. We share our research today, my research, and before investing your money, make sure you actually make your own research and make up your own mind. So don't trust, verify. Please feel free to ask questions in the live chat. I'm taking a look, and I'm happy to pick them and then answer them. And please, this will help us a lot. If you like this, like right now the live, repost it, invite your friends. The more, the merrier. Well, the topics for today are quite exciting, as a lot of things are happening. We are going to talk about some very interesting insights regarding the share price and the NAV multiple of the blockchain group. We're going to look at a graph I did this week, and that, in my opinion, has a lot of history inside. So we're going to look at the written history. I like to do this sort of analysis as well. Let's see what comes out. Then we are going to deep dive in short sellers, into the short sellers attacks. I think there are quite some valuable and very interesting insights into their behavior, what's happening, are they profitable or not, who are they. I updated the data this morning with the information available until yesterday. Sometimes they're a bit delayed, so it might be like reliable information is until 2 days ago, but it gives a very good picture of what's happening. We are also going to look at Bitcoin stockpile projection for the end of the year. Also here, I did some analysis that I think it's very interesting. Happy to share and hear also your feedback about this. It depicts a very interesting picture. And finally, there was a big announcement about the new US OTC Ticker from Alexandre Lezé. We are gonna, I collected some information so that we are gonna raise some clarity around the new versus the existing OTC tickers. This is for our US friends and investors. I think they will find this incredibly valuable because there is more clarity than a couple of days ago. I collected some info directly from what Alexandre Lezé shared on X. So we can start, and as usual, I do 2 minutes, just a little reminder, invite your friends or make sure you join our X community because it's growing fast. Now we are 1,900 people, actually close to 2,000, I last checked. Let's see if we cross it very soon. And if you want to keep up with ALTBG and with everything is happening with first-hand insights, then that's the right place to be. Also, if you are a fan of this community and you want to contribute, the easiest way is to just spotlight it on your profile. What does it mean? It means that if you do this, you click here, you go to the community, you click on the bell, and then you click on Spotlight Community on your profile. This will display below your X profile. So everybody visiting your X profile will automatically see a badge, let's say, and then they might just join and check it out at the very least. Also, this is the 4th episode. We did some episodes in the past. They are all on YouTube. Feel free to check them out. Very interesting insights, a lot of value. Be the Moon shares really great insights. We try to keep up with everything that is happening. So feel free to take a look. Also, there were this week 2 incredibly good interviews from Alexander. Alexander is doing a lot of work. I think he doesn't sleep, to be frank. It's available in every time zone. He's everywhere. He did really, I listened to both of them, these 2, and I'm sure there are more. But as you know, time is limited, and I dedicated my time to these 2, and they were one better than the other one. There is a lot of alpha, a lot of feeling also for what's the vision and what's execution, but also what's the vision that drives the execution. Long-term pictures and short-term pictures as well. I think there is a lot of value. Just if you want to build up your conviction in ALTBG or just simply understand better their business and the team, just watch these 2 interviews. One is from the True North with Adrian, and the other one is from Bram Kanstein. Very, very, very valuable. All right, we can start with ALTBG. It's fun time. And this clearly refers to the shorts, and we will get them very soon. But the first step is actually to look at the written history. The history of ALTBG that is written in its share price and mNAV, diluted mNAV. I did this graph and I spent actually the week coding and analyzing, and this was one of my favorite charts that came out of that. And there is a lot in that, and I'm happy to guide you through it. It's quite interesting. So what are we seeing? What are we looking at here? In orange, the dotted line is just ALTBG share price since they adopted the Bitcoin Treasury strategy. As you can see, it goes from very low, like below €1, like I believe we are around 20 cents at the beginning, until now we are around 4 something, 4.20, 4.10. We peaked at 5.78, as you can see here, and there is quite a story actually that is telling us. Above all, when we look at what should have been the price at different level of mNAV, so NAV multiple. In particular here, I plotted, the other lines are just prices. If they would have kept a certain NAV multiple, I looked at all the NAV multiples from 1, the blue one at the bottom, until 16. And pay attention, the y-axis is on a log scale because the price moves so much that makes sense to look at it with a log scale. And I think there is a lot of information. So first of all, I pointed out here the level of BTC Treasury, the size, and how it increased at certain particular points. So they passed from, initially they started with, they got their first 15 at the very beginning. Then they increased 2.6 times to 40. Then the next increase was quite powerful. They increased to 620. This is more than 15x. And we know, I'm just coming out from the words of Alexander from one of the interviews, they increased the they increased the Bitcoin by 15x, but they increased the amount of shares, diluted shares, only by 2x. This, of course, was incredibly creative, so an incredible and very successful operation. And then they increased further, 1.7 times to 1,471 Bitcoin. Eventually, they reached, and we're now at 1,904 Bitcoin. To be noticed here, there is some, like, these prices at different mNAVs. Actually, they jump sometimes, right? Do you notice this? And they jump every time actually Bitcoin is added or capital is raised. They jump up. These prices projected with this specific NAV multiples. They jump up because the price of the share should to keep up with mNAV, to the mNAV for the acquisition of new Bitcoin, should increase, and should increase proportionally to the Bitcoin acquired. And we see jumps, but the stock price doesn't react immediately. This is quite an interesting sign. It means that, like, the market is not reactive immediately on the news. Maybe it's already some people already purchased before estimating the acquisition. Some people instead come later. I like to call this opportunity because, as you can see, every time the price, every time there is a meaningful jump, the price, so here there is a jump, the price takes sometimes like 1 month and then reaches up and goes up. Once again, here there was a big jump of the due to the Bitcoin acquisition, and the price adjusts and follows, but it has some delay. And once again here, and so on. Every time it does like that. But also sometimes they announce capital raised. And for example, here you see the projected share price due to the specific mNAV due to the capital raise. So the share amount usually increases, the diluted share amounts. Then it means that basically our numerator of the mNAV drops, so the projected price drops as well. But here the market doesn't react, first of all because it's temporary and doesn't make sense to react. So the market, the price doesn't react. This tells us that the market doesn't care about this delay. So there is always kind of a delay of 1-2 weeks between when the money, the capital raise is announced and signed, and the money reaches, and then the Bitcoin is successfully acquired and then deposited in Luxembourg. This is quite interesting, and I want to point out already here we see some shorts information. So I noticed, like, there are 3 shorts, short seller funds, hedge funds that shorted the ALTBG in recent times. The first one was Citadel, and the second one was Cube, that I didn't include here because it was not profitable. It closed at a loss. And the most recent is Volion. And I want to underline here the similarities and also later between Citadel and Volion. So actually both of them started shorting the blockchain group at the local top, actually a second top after the share price reached a top and then started dropping. So probably, I didn't look at the volumes. I would expect the volumes, say the volumes would also hint at some insights here, but clearly after a strong rally, the price slowed down. Then it increased again, and then Citadel and Volion both entered with the same timing. And this similarity about the timing, about the moment of entrance, it's not only about the moment of entrance, but it's also about the mNAV. When we look at the diluted mNAV, actually they entered right at similar, like right below 11 NAV multiple. So Citadel entered at a 10.8 NAV multiple, and Volion entered at 10.6 NAV multiple. So, this tells me indirectly, if you want, so maybe it's a strong coincidence, let's say, but it could be easily that these companies somehow are tracking some metrics that are a proxy of the mNAV, diluted mNAV. I don't think they go as far as the diluted mNAV, but somehow it aligns, and it somehow it seems to be a kind of entry signal, or at least there is a very strong coincidence. What I want to point out again in this graph, it's how amazingly the share price is in between the channel between 8 mNAV and 16 mNAV, precisely topping around 14 mNAV. And it seems like here, as you can see, there is the more Bitcoin acquired, and the price starts to react later on. And then it wants to move higher than 14 towards 16, but then somehow it slows down, then the funds short it, and then there is a bit of loss of confidence, more slowdown because they hammer it, and it goes back to 8. And something happened, something very similar happened here. So the price adjusted to the acquisition of Bitcoin that happened in April. It reached out, it overcame the 8 mNAV and went towards the 16 until it reached, actually after a super strong rally of 10x, slowed down, then the funds entered, hammered the price, loss of confidence, low volumes, the price dropped. And we are still around 8. This time dropped below 8 mNAV. We will see what happens next. But it's definitely, it feels that the natural place for the share price of ALTBG, at least what the markets assign, seems to be always most of the times between 8 and 16. And I wonder where it would get if there would not be the selling pressure of the funds. Maybe it would just, after a local top, it would just consolidate and then reach out to even higher NAV. Maybe one day we'll find out, or maybe through a squeeze as well. I don't know. I leave you with this. I posted this. If you want to look at it again, it's on my profile, take a look. I find it very interesting. There is a lot of insights in this, a lot of history. So I think we are ready to move to some further juice, maybe lemon juice. Well, we are going to talk about short sellers more in detail. I did a more in-depth analysis, and I have several graphs here. Let's start by this one. We're looking at the short sellers that started shorting after May. We know the price rallied quite a lot. We were around 1, and we reached close to 6, 578. And we can see these are the shorted shares by the 2 funds that started shorting, that started playing with fire, started shorting ALTBG. One got seriously hurt, and it's Cube. As you can see here, we are tracking the amount of shorted shares over time. They were in incredible loss. We will see it in the next slides, and they are now out. But there was some sort of overlap that definitely, as you can see, volume started to short here around the 19th of June and has been increasing until a few days ago, and probably also yesterday. This is just speculation. I have some numbers, but we will see, but probably also yesterday. But what I would point out here is that in comparison to other shares, ALTBG is not so, there are not so many short sellers. There are 2. I mean, it's something, definitely, but they overlapped, which means that here, in a moment after the price rallied and dropped a bit maybe also because they increased here short selling pressure, Cube, then it was recovering, but then the second fund doubled down on their short selling pressure. The price dropped, and we have a bit more insights about their strategy and how heavy they were at each step. Quite some interesting stuff there. But this is to say, this was probably a moment where the price could have just slowed down, consolidated, but it was a bit hammered by the short selling pressure that at the beginning was by 2 funds at the same time. Now it's only volume, which keeps increasing. Now they have around 1,790,000 something. 1,790,000 short shares. Let's look though at whose volume. I did some research. It's a bit pixel this slide, but so who are they? They are a US tech hedge fund. They take pride in saying that they are using machine learning and tech and whatever. They have innovative way of trading, basically. So my guess is that they are automated traders, algo traders, and they have they're highly quantitative, and so they have algorithm that guide their decisions. The blockchain group is not the only share that they short. Actually, it's one of 21 open positions they have, and quite interesting. it's the only Bitcoin Treasury company. The others, there is a lot of aviation. So we have, for example, let me see, where is it? I found them yesterday. Wizz Air France, and so on. What I notice, and what you can notice already from this table, and this is a table that looks at the recent open share position, they have minimum, their allocation usually accounts for between 0.51 amount of total shares of the company until a maximum of 1.98%. So I don't want to read too much in that. But it could be that they don't favor higher positions, which could signal also that they are maybe going to slow down soon. I don't want to speculate too much on that because we don't have enough information. But as a matter of fact, now we are on 1.33%, possibly higher, total shares of ALTBG being shorted by them. So it could be that they are close. It's one of their bigger positions in terms of shares of the company, so percentage shares shorted out of shares of the company. And yeah, let's kind of look at this graph. So we look at the P&L, the profit and loss. So we look at also their break-even price. I guide you 1 second to how to read it. So here in red, we always depict like the share price in this dotted line and how it moves. In the blue line and the violet, the pink line, are the break-even prices. And instead, the areas are the profit or losses of the two hedge funds. As we see here, Cube actually had a very sad, very bad performance. They started in a very bad time. The price started rallying from 2 point something, almost 3 euros. It rallied almost to 6 euros. They tried to allocate later on, but this just their loss kept compounding. Also, this loss includes the fees they are paying that historically have been always high, between 150% and 200% yearly. I compute their losses based on, so it's an approximation of their losses, of course, because I take the close price of the day, of share price of the day, and the amount of shares that they shorted and when they started shorting them, and I compute also the fee rate that they are paying on the position. And as we can see, Cube exited recently at 886,000 euros loss, while Volume entered. It was in a loss at the beginning because the price went up a little bit, but soon they started to get quite some profit until more than 1.5 million. But now with Bitcoin price accelerating, the price of the blockchain group reacting, as we can see here, and also them continuously trying to put pressure, but also it means that they increased the position also when the price was low. So as you can see, this line, the violet line, is their break-even price keeps dropping. And here there is a very nice, like they are almost in loss. So their profits are definitely falling. And we will see where this goes. Their break-even price currently, according to the information I have available, so until a couple of days ago, it's 4.39, might even be lower, because if they kept increasing also yesterday, today price is higher, so their break-even price is even lower. And we will see where this goes, but I think they're playing with fire. And like at some point they will have to cover. This will bring additional buying pressure. And I don't know, maybe I was trying to think, if I was Volume, what I would be doing. And sincerely, all day I would try to increase the pressure and see how it moves, what effect it does, or try to close the position without affecting the price as much as possible. But my bet, also going back to this slide, is that they don't know what they're doing. Like they might not know what they're dealing with, because if this is the only Bitcoin treasury company they're shorting, it might be that I just assume they might not know that they're dealing with Bitcoin, and they might not know about NAV multiple, and so their strategy might not take into account these. Above all, if it's just an algorithmic or mainly an algorithmic and quantitative strategy. So we will see where this goes. But here I have another graph about their strategy. So here I'm looking at both funds and their daily change in position. So if they reduced or they increased their pressure. So we see, first of all, we see some similarities, and I didn't know a lot about strategy of hedge funds, but by looking at this, I can get a glimpse of maybe their reasoning. Both Cube and Volion, when they entered on their first allocation, they smashed, shorted like around 50%, or slightly less as time passes, of the volumes of the shorted shares. So what they did is, and also they timed it. They tried to time it. As you can see, also here, maybe it's not a coincidence. As you can see, the price, this is a second top also for Cube. There was a top, price dropped, there is a second top. Same for Volion. Here, there was a top, dropped, and second top. And same for, as we saw before, Citadel. There was a top at 57 cents back in February, I believe, and then they entered the second top. They smashed, shorted with in size, and then they increased the pressure. Cube was very unlucky because there was so much buying pressure that they got burned very quickly. They tried to increase the pressure, and maybe it worked. As you can see here, they increased it here when the price was dropping, but then it just didn't help. At some point, they closed and they covered most of their position here. I see that the price this day, the day after, when they covered, there was a plus 9% increase. So maybe for sure it was impacted by that, but also Volion increased their selling pressure. So for sure it compensated that. But yeah, so I can see that. And let's look at Volion. Volion also smash shorted like around 50% of the volumes, and then increased pressure here. The price, I think, was very reactive. It started, first of all, there were two funds here shorting these 2 days, and the price dropped down. Then again, another top, and they shorted slightly before. Another top, they shorted. And then here something changed. So here we see kind of a correlation between some shorting and the price dropping, but the price reached a few days ago, like 3.7, I forgot how much, 370 or lower. But they increased their position. They kept increasing, but while the price has been going up, and this clearly brought their break-even price down. Before, here it was just at 490, now it's at 439, so quite lower. And so let's see, they already deployed a lot of capital. If their profit will go down and they will start to be in loss, I would expect that they could behave similarly to how Cube behaved. So they will start to a bit be in trouble. Here they, as you can see, they had both some, they increased the position, but also they decreased it and so on. We will monitor these and we will see how it evolves. But let's say if the price grows a lot, let's say this weekend Bitcoin increases even more, and there is a lot of buying pressure, of course we can see a potential short squeeze, and that will be a lot of fun to watch at the very least. Yeah, I just put this graph. I took it from Interactive Broker just to say that we see that the shortable shares diminished on July 10th, and could be several things, but it could be also that they just increased further their shorting position also on the 10th, but that's not a problem. I mean, we're already on the 11th. Today the price went up. It gave some good signs of going up, and if they increased yesterday, they decreased even more their break-even price. So let's keep watching, and I will keep you updated. And now let's move to another analysis. I spent a lot of time, as I said, this week coding and charting and wrangling data. I like that. And I have some interesting projections. So actually, I would start from a different method. Like I took Be the Moon, who's not with us today. Hi, Be the Moon, if you're listening or if you will be listening, you're missed. Typically, I would ask him to talk about his own work. Today, I'm bringing the message. So he did a very good analysis. Go and pick the post because there is a quite detailed analysis here, and of all the capital, like currently announced capital raised instruments that could potentially. So it's a potential future incoming capital. So they could potentially be used if things play out as expected. We always look kind of at all these instruments that they're announced, and so far they all played out, but of course, because the price went up and so on. But if they play out, what do they mean? If they play out and they get used, we will see just for the announced capital that can be raised, we will see around more than 5,000 Bitcoin by end of the year. We see around 3,000% BTC yield for this year and around 1.32% daily BTC yield, arriving from 594 sats per share that we are now to 1,250 sats per share. So it's quite an increase. I love these sats per share and Bitcoin per share and growth, the yield, so big growth of Bitcoin per share, because if you have Bitcoin, I mean, which is great, but you start with one Bitcoin and you end up the year with one Bitcoin. But if you have ALTBG share or Bitcoin Treasury company that you trust share, the amount of Bitcoin you're receiving per share are increasing. And this is a good example. And this is only based on the capital that was announced. And if it plays out, it will be actually be transformed and used to acquire Bitcoin. But there is also what we don't see. So the unannounced and future capital raising. So what we don't see yet coming because they didn't announce it. So I'm always open for surprise. I mean, the ATM, frankly, was unannounced and was a very good welcome surprise. And I believe there might be more of convertible bonds, public offering. We know that as the market cap reaches towards 1 billion, there will be a lot of opportunities opening, not only ETFs inclusions, but also probably more institutional capital that can allocate and probably will allocate. But of course, this is just speculation, just saying the bigger it is, the bigger it grows, the more appealing it is for capital. This is a projection that is based on what we currently see and some speculation. I had a different approach from the Be the Moon, but we kind of reached similar conclusions. So here he's talking about 5,000 Bitcoin plus an unannounced and future capital raising. When I asked him, he says, yeah, I believe we will probably end up in around 9,000, 8,000, between 8,000 and 10,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. That's his estimate. But I use a different approach, a more a mathematical, let's say, approach. I think not better, not worse, just different. And I'm happy that it arrives to the same or similar conclusion. So what are we looking at here? We know that ALTBG, in comparison to other Bitcoin Treasury companies, at least in the beginning, had less acquisitions, but much bigger. And these in orange are every time they acquired Bitcoin. So every Bitcoin acquisition in orange here. It's very few data points, but it already displays, let's say, a trend. What I did here, so this is the size of their Bitcoin Treasury. What I did here is trying to be as realistic as possible, still using math. So I use two methods. I fit linear regression, excluding the very first acquisition. Why I excluded the very first acquisition? Because if I fit a linear regression here, like it goes, the first one skew a lot. So we know that the acquisition of Bitcoin is never really linear, but it's exponential. But at the same time, if I look only exponentially at acquisition, I might end up being too bullish about future acquisition. That's why I decided I will use both, and I will use a linear regression fitted on the more recent data, which means after March. So since they had a meaningful size of Bitcoin Treasury, which was 620 Bitcoin on the balance sheet. And here I fitted this linear regression, which is represent the lower bound of the area we see in the future. And then I fitted also exponential regression from the beginning. And then I decided, okay, like, I think it's very likely that we will end up somewhere in between this more bullish exponential relationship at the top and more linear, which we know it's not linear, the acquisition of Bitcoin, lower bound at the bottom. Also, what does it mean, a linear lower bound? It would mean that the second 2,000 Bitcoin that ALTBG acquires would be as hard as the first 2,000. And I believe this is not true, of course, because the more Bitcoin they have, the more capital they have, the bigger the balance sheet they have, it is the bigger the market cap it is, the easier it is to acquire Bitcoin. We see that with Metaplanet, for example. So I believe the truth will fall for sure, or most likely, in between, in this area of possibilities in blue. And then I took the average between the two just to have a mathematical benchmark. And this falls at 9,257 Bitcoin. So let's see. We will monitor these. We will see how it evolves, and we will use this graph to hold us accountable for this estimate. But I think even being wanted to be a bit, let's say, bearish, also depends a lot on other factors like Bitcoin price, how much it will be, how much capital they will be able to acquire, and so on. But I think it's reasonable. I think between 6,000 and 9,000, to me, it's a quite reasonable expected amount that we can reach. Let's see how far we go. And just a reminder that their estimate is actually 3,000. Their target is 3,000, between 1,000 and 3,000 Bitcoin. So it would end up here out of our lower bound. But I think for how things are speeding up, by now 3,000 should be quite conservative, as they acquired already 2,000. Now we have 6 more months to go, and that would mean like slowing down a lot the acquisition in comparison to how fast they acquired in the past. All right. Thank you for sticking here with me. Oh yes, I added this view I was looking at. So I have some positions. I have positions in MSTR also, but also Metaplanet. Here is the German ticker and the Smarter Web Company. And I want to point out these, like, they're actually very correlated. Smarter Web Company is smaller and much more volatile, but Metaplanet and the blockchain group, by the way, they're both shorted by hedge funds. They are incredibly well correlated. And I don't know if you noticed this. So since we talked about shorts before, sorry. This is Metaplanet short squeeze. And I was there, and I think I got a bit lucky because I woke up, I saw this going up, and I said, okay, what do I do? Like, it went up too much, too fast, and so on. And I was like, I think it's not an easy situation to manage. Above all, if you're not prepared for it, I decided to sell a part of the shares, and then I could repurchase low. But I think this was really luck. But I wanted to show this graph first to say that they're correlated, and second to say that's how a short squeeze looks like, and that's how a short squeeze could look like on the blockchain group if more selling pressure or these hedge funds are forced to buy when the price skyrockets. They would just add fuel to the increasing price. So if Bitcoin does its thing and there is normal buying pressure, now they are just announced they are going to launch the US OTC Ticker. And these funds are not paying attention to Bitcoin. These funds are not paying attention to the news of the OTC Ticker. They're not up to date. I mean, they're shorting a lot of stocks. So I'm not sure they are really following that closely. This is something that could happen. or at least something similar. So let's follow closely and let's enjoy the ride and have fun. All right, last topic for today, and I wanted to raise some clarity around the OTC ticker that has been announced by Alexandre Lizet a couple of days ago, because there were a lot of questions above all from investors from US, and I tried to collect the available information shared by Alexandre in one place so that you can be updated on what I believe the reliable information. So first of all, there was a US OTC ticker announcement. It's a new US OTC ticker announcement. It's not the existing one. So the announcement was not related to the existing one. It is expected to be completed and launched and available in between 2 to 4 weeks. This timing just depends on the regulators, and everybody's really happy that this is happening now. To be frank, I mean, yeah, it could have happened before, and a lot of investors wanted to buy it, but can you not appreciate the timing with the shorts, with Bitcoin increasing in price? I think it's even better maybe now with volume shorting that all of a sudden they didn't take this into account. And this is just gonna open some doors, some huge doors for a river of money potentially coming in. Also because this ticker, and this is incredibly bullish, is not going to have other shares or anything. This is every dollar that is going to end up on this ticker, US ticker, is going to flow directly into existing shares, because they're not issuing new shares. They use the existing Euronext shares that will be made tradable in dollars via the US market makers. So this is very good. It means if there is a lot of new buying pressure, it's gonna meet the supply that is already existing, and clearly it's gonna be reflected in the price. But there were some questions from people like, okay, all right, but what if I already invested in the existing ticker? Like, what is it? What am I supposed to do? Here I put some screenshots of Alexandre Lizet. And so just for clarity, this, I don't even know how to pronounce it, but BCHFX ticker was created independently by a US bank to meet the request of their customers because they had demand. It was not managed. It was not an initiative of ALTBG. They didn't have anything to do with it. And the new ticker will actually enable better access and volumes. And the good news, here I copied the words because I don't want to add or remove anything or give my explanation because I'm not an expert about it, but Alexandre Lizet copy-pasted the response of OTC markets on what shall I do if I'm an investor and I already have the existing ticker, but I would like to move the funds. And the OTC markets answers that the ticker will change, the ticker name though, only, not the ID, the CUS IP, so not the ID of the instrument, of the financial instruments on the US market, which will remain the same. The ticker will simply be changed to the new one, and so they are writing that there is no selling and rebuying required to do. So this is what they shared officially. Of course, if there is anything like in reality, something changes, but I wouldn't expect. I mean, if these are the words, if they expressively say there is no selling and rebuying required, then I think you should be fine. But of course, if we hear some different experiences and so on from people who have it, I will give an update on this. And I think we are kind of done for today. Yeah. All right. Thank you for sticking with me for 45 minutes. Just a reminder, don't trust, verify, don't trust anything that we or I say in this podcast. I run research. I might get wrong as well. So please, before investing your money, run your own research, make up your own mind. And yeah, thank you. I hope you all have had fun, and I hope we're going to have a lot of fun with the volume and with Bitcoin price increasing and the blockchain price skyrocketing. Let's see where this goes. And cheers to you all. Bye.